We'll start with the prayers. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunayama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Makshabhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi Stushtovagam Sastanobihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuho Swasti na Indro Vriddashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishvaveda Swasti nastakshorarishthanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatir Dhadato Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Adhyasa Bashyam is our topic for study for the next 6 to 8 classes, I feel. Last 2 sessions, we have seen the introduction to Upanishads, and we saw also the introduction to Kaivalya Upanishad. At the end of Kaivalya Upanishad, we had a discussion, and most of the listeners felt that they would like to see and hear Adhyasa Bhashyam first before proceeding on with the Kaivalya Upanishad. So I have completely changed the course. I have started producing the notes for the Adhyasa Bhashyam. Today I have circulated to you a completely fresh set of notes for Adhyasa Bhashyam. This is just for today's talk. I will be continuing the notes circulation for every session because they are being constructed now. The Adhyasa Bashyam, which I thought I will take for you before, was just an introduction to the topic, not a complete Adhyasa Bhashyam as such. So the notes I had prepared for that was a fairly simple notes without going into the details of the different sections of the Adhyasa Bhashyam. It was a continuously running notes on some aspects of the Adhyasa. But then as people, as the participants of this session, they wanted to have a more detailed study, I had to look up at getting these verses first and then start writing some notes on them. So from today, we will be doing Adhyasa Bhashyam every week for the full time allotted to us for 1.5 hours. And we'll try and see how we can complete this in about 6 to 8 sessions before we start the Kaivalya Upanishad. I had given you the importance of the Adhyasa Bhashyam before. Let me just quickly give you a rundown of what this background of Adhyasa Bhashyam is before we take up the first section. Adhyasa Bhashyam is basically a part of the spiritual journey. The spiritual journey is called as Adhyatmika pursuit, Adhyatmika Marga. It is going inside our own self through the intellect and trying to discover who we are. It is an internal journey of the self to the self, all alone to the self. For this journey, the scriptures provide us Prasthana Trayam, which is called as the triad. Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and Brahma Sutra. These are the three valid sources of knowledge called as Pramanika. They don't have any human defect because they're all heard. It is Apaurushaya Vishayaha. It is heard by the rishis, and that is what we are learning. It is not written by somebody, it is heard. Who am I is a question for all mankind since time immemorial. Human beings have existed on the earth for thousands of years. But this is the most mysterious question because the answer is not easily found. Several philosophers in the Western countries and in the Indian context have studied, and each one has come with a version of who we are, who am I, what is this world, and who is the creator. There is not a single philosophy which has been developed, which is accepted by all. In this study of Prasthana Trayam, before the study, we consider ourselves as limited to this body, limited to this mind, limited to the intellect, and together these limitations form the individuality in us. We consider ourselves to be male, female, young, old. These are all limitations, and we live with these limitations throughout our life before the study of Prasthana Trayam. If you ask anybody, who are you? He will say, I'm a doer of actions. I'm an enjoyer of the results of actions. I am a pramata. I perceive the world. That's all. These are the three main definitions of who am I before the study. The study of Upanishads, Brahma Sutra, and Bhagavad Gita gives a new definition of who am I. The same Jiva who said I am limited, after the study says I am limitless Satchit Ananda Swarupaha. I am pure existence, I am consciousness, knowingness is my nature, bliss is my intrinsic nature. This is the basic nature of all of us. Wherever you are situated, whoever you are, if somebody were to ask you, who are you? The three words we have to say, if you want to reveal the truth to him, is, I am Satchit Ananda. If you look at the meanings of these words, Sat means existence. All of us can say, I exist. Chit. All of us can say, I am conscious. And third is, all of us can say, I am blissful in my sleep state. I may not be blissful, I may have a lot of worries in the waking state, but what is common to all of us is the bliss in our sleep state. And it is not something which we have not experienced. These three things, existence, consciousness, and bliss, is common to each one of us. And this is what Upanishad wants us to own as our real nature. What about my nature as a body, as a mind, as an individual, as a father, as a mother, as a daughter? These are all incidental nature. They are not the intrinsic nature. So, after the study, this is the result, the benefit of listening to the Shruti. Shruti means it's a heard, revealed text, it is not an authored text. The moment we tune ourselves, we become recipients and we'll get access to most authentic, undubious source of knowledge about our own nature, which is the Sat Chit Ananda. So the goal is clear that I need to own up that nature as my intrinsic nature and learn to drop the roles I play as my real nature. This is the purpose of the study of Prasthana Traya. In order to understand why we are not able to realize this Satchit Ananda nature, the great teacher Shankaracharya, who has written commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, he has written commentaries on all the 10 Upanishads. Before he took up the commentary of writing on the Brahma Sutra, he decided to write this Adhyasa Bashyam. Because he felt that if this is not understood, I am Satchidananda Swarupa will not be easily claimed by the seekers. Even though it is a preface to the Brahma Sutra, I decided to take it as a preface to the Upanishadic talks because I felt it is so important. Once you go through this Adhyasa Bashyam, a lot of your doubts will get cleared, a lot of your perceptions of the world will change, and you slowly start walking on the path of spiritual realization. We are talking about the subjective realization, who am I? It's got nothing to do with my life outside in the external world. Adhyasa, as I explained last session, Adhi and As. These are the two. Adhi is a prefix, As is the root. As is to place over or to put over something. So superimposition is what is called as Adhyasa. Seeing something on something else. Very common example which we give to understand Adhyasa is seeing the rope as a snake. When we are doing this, there are two amshas, two parts to the experience of seeing the rope as a snake. One aspect is Samanya Amsha. Samanya means the general aspect, which is partially seen. I can see the rope. There is something lying on the ground. But the Vishesha Amsha, the specific nature of that rope, rope as a rope is not understood in a dim light. So the ropeness gets hidden, the specific aspect is hidden. Therefore, Adhyasa takes place. Therefore, superimposition takes place on the rope. Now, this is what Shankaracharya analyzes the whole phenomena connected with this, and he writes this Bashyam, which is simple. If you read these verses, I have put this at the end of, I've circulated to you already in your WhatsApp. The text of this presentation, which I'm doing today, I have also circulated the 16 sections of the Adhyasa Bashyam, which we will be doing in these sessions, so that you have a introduction to what is this Adhyasa. It's a very simple looking commentary, but very, very deep in its meaning, very alluring, very enchanting. When you go through this Bashyam can be discussed at several levels of understanding itself, depending on the student. I will be taking up at the basic level so that all of us can understand these 16 verses as a first learning ground. At a higher level, the same Bhashyam can be analyzed how, as Satchidananda, the Adhyasa superimposition happens at the Karana Sharira level, at the Sukshma Sharira level, and at the Sthula Sharira level. That is a higher level of Adhyasa. Because once you understand the basic, then you can go to the higher section. And once you go through the higher section, moksha is 100% guaranteed, 100%. In this life. Normally, when we take up a text, we take up what is called as Anubandha Chatushtayam, Anupashat. That means we need to see how this text we are studying is connected with the student's journey, spiritual journey. Whenever we try to understand a text, we analyze it from 4 viewpoints. Number 1, Adhikari. Second is Vishaya, Sambandha, and Prayojana. Many of you have gone through these in the past with me. But just the word meaning of this is a text should address a student who is an Adhikari, a qualified student who has gone through the basic requirement of developing a discipline to study. The very fact you are able to come to these talks means you already have that Adhikaritva. You already possess certain amount of discipline to get away from your normal social life, allocate a certain amount of time to learn the scriptures. A text should also address and give us what is the subject matter of the text, which is the Vishaya. In this case, the Vishaya is Jiva Brahma Aikya. This Jiva, I, am nothing else but that pure consciousness, which is the substratum of the entire universe. That is the subject matter. The student is clear. The student is one who wants to learn about himself. If the student is ready, what is the subject we should teach him? What we should teach him is, you are a Jiva, not with the body and mind, but you are a Jiva, which is Satchid Ananda Swarupa. And Sambandha is the connection between the text and the goal, between the text and the Prayojana. The prayojanam is moksha, the result. So bodhaka, bodhya, sambandha. The knowledge and the result of knowledge. In this Bashyam, the result of knowledge is moksha. And the knowledge is aham brahma asmi. In these four factors, the two factors which are not so, the two cornerstones of this whole text is the Vishaya and the Prayojana. That's what Shankaracharya focuses on. Adhikari, he assumes that all of us are adhikaris. Sambandha is very clear that the text wants to reveal our real nature. But what is not clear is what is the subject matter and how the benefit is derived out of learning this text. In the 16th section, when I take the session, I will be again telling you the two cornerstones, how they have been fulfilled in our talks. Brahma Sutra, the first sutra is Athato Brahma Jignasa. It is on this, before he writes a commentary on this sutra, is this Adhyasa Bashyam. What is the meaning of Athaha, Atha, thereafter? After Chitta Shuddhi, Chitta Ekagrata, Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti, these are the basic qualifications. Chitta Shuddhi means purity of mind. Chitta Ekagrata means focusing ability of the mind after developing these qualities. Ataha. Ataha. Athato Brahma Jignasa. Ataha means what? Therefore, after getting these qualifications, we must know, the student must desire to know the reality, which is given the name Brahman. Brahman basically means Brihatva Brahma, limitless entity. Why do we need to learn this? Because we are not today fulfilled in life. Anything which we achieve, dharma, artha, kama, whatever we achieve, these are the three purusharthas we all work for. But we are not happy, we are not fulfilled after these three purusharthas. These three goals, how much ever money we earn, we want plus something. Whatever joy we have got from this world, we are not fulfilled. We want plus something. Whatever rituals which we may do for getting the Swarga Loka, we still have one plus ritual to be done. So when you analyze the four purusharthas, three purusharthas do not give us the fulfillment. What gives us the fulfillment? The fourth purushartha, which is moksha. Moksha means liberation from this limitedness. Therefore, in order to know my own nature as limitlessness, we take up the study of Brahman. What is this Brahman? What is the nature of this Brahman? Which is the topic in all the Upanishads. All the 12 Upanishads which we'll be doing, the topic is Aham Brahma Asmi. I am that pure consciousness. I am Satchit Ananda. And I am not this body-mind complex, which is an incidental nature in my waking state. But my intrinsic nature is pure consciousness, pure existence, and pure bliss, which we all experience. There is no dearth of experience of who we are. Only thing is we don't know that that is my real Swarupam, And what I take myself today is a superimposition. It is an adhyasa. It is an error. If I learn to remove this error, I can remain today itself as this blissful entity. The world is impermanent, a source of sorrow, which if you analyze, you will definitely arrive at this conclusion. The Upanishad gives the knowledge for perfect fulfillment. Know the Brahman as Atma, know self as Aham Brahma Asmi for this fulfillment in life. So I have discussed so far our limitations. How do we express these limitations? What is this individuality which we are talking about? We are all individuals. You are an individual, I'm an individual, my mother is an individual, my father, my sister, my daughter, everybody is an individual. What makes each one of us separate, a separate entity? And what is the common thing which all of us are doing? Individuality consists of 4 factors. Janati, Ichhati, Yatate, Bhukte. These are 4 Sanskrit terms which I am using. Janati means I know. I know my body. I know the world. I know others in this world. It is the jnata in us. Ichhati. Ichhati means I desire. These are all the factors, the constituents, the ingredients of the individuality. Each one of us, you take anybody, he will have these 4 factors. He or she will have these 4 factors. I desire, ichhati. Each one of us puts effort. When you put effort, the person is called as karta. Bhukte means bhokta. Our whole life is jnata, karta, bhokta. Ichhati comes before karta. It is a part of karta itself. So the individual, if he is involved in only these 3 transactions, jnata, karta and bhokta, doer, enjoyer, and perceiver, then throughout the life he will say, I'm limited. I'm limited by what I perceive. I'm limited by what I desire. I'm limited by what effort I can put, and I'm limited by the joy which I can get through my efforts. That is why we say that limitation is the basic problem for sorrow. All these are expressions of nothing but sorrow in life. You can analyze your life. You will be able to accept the fact that because I'm a karta, many a times I feel sorrowful. I can't do this. I can't do that. I want to do it, but I can't. I want limitless results, but I can't get limitless. I can only get so much. I can only earn so much money. I can only eat so much food. I can only be here, not there. These are limitations. I'm here now, but I'm not there in the past. I'm not there in the future. That is a limitation of time. Limitation of space, limitation of time, limitation of objects. Desha kala vastu parichedaha. Knowing always precedes doing. That is why I said ichhati comes before janati, and ichhati will come before being a karta. So my experience is I am a karta bhokta jnata aham jivaha. I am finite parichedaha. I have a sense of incompleteness in my life. Therefore, every day there is a new desire which is being projected in my intellect. I am all the time identified with the body, senses, and mind. The sorrow which I experience is always valid. Therefore, I doubt, how can I be this Brahman? How can I be this limitless entity? Is this Vishaya, the subject matter of Upanishad, the figment of somebody's imagination? Is it imagined that there is an entity called Brahman and we are all trying to become one? Is it a wild goose chase? Is it something which is unachievable? Upanishad tells us you are akarta, abhokta, sakshi, satchid ananda swarupaha. This is all what we are going to study in the Upanishads. Aham brahmasmi. I am infinite in nature. Infinite means I am not affected by time. What is not affected by time? Consciousness. My nature of consciousness is not affected. I am the pure consciousness. I was, I am, I will be. With or without the body. I am not the knower, known, knowing triad. I am full, complete, aham purnaha. I am not connected with the body-mind complex. Joy and bliss is my nature, intrinsic nature. So this is what the Upanishad is revealing to me as my nature. This is my current experience. How do I bridge this gap? That is the question which Shankaracharya was trying to address in the Adhyasa Bashyam. We can easily say, have faith in the scriptures and you will get this. But then, faith cannot come in ignorance. Faith is a part of the Vijnanamaya Kosha, the intellect. It is a part of that Vijnanamaya. Faith is an attribute of the intellect. So the subject matter of the Upanishad, myself is Brahman. Myself here means the core personality of myself. My real nature is limitlessness. I must be convinced of such a possibility. If I'm not convinced, I won't put the effort of studying the Upanishads. So the Vishaya has to be clarified. Without conviction, I can't be convinced to put efforts for the study. So the prayojanam of the study is Jiva Brahma Aikyam. Jiva is one with Brahman. Jiva is nothing else but Brahman. Then what happens to all these limitations which I have? They all cease. It is the individuality which makes us small, frightened, and suffering. The moment I stop the identification with the body, most of our problems are gone. Then comes the mind. That is the second level of removing the Adhyasa. Once I have done this, the last portion is the Karana Sharira Adhyasa, which is fairly easy to remove because by that time you already have a lot of discrimination in your mind. So all problems and sufferings are in finitude when I am identified with the body in the waking state or the mind in the dream state. I have no difficulty in accepting my infinitude in the sleep state because I am free. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Dvitiya vai bhayam bhavati. What does it mean? It says that if there is nothing else but me, as in the sleep state, what should I be afraid of? If that is my real intrinsic nature, that Advaitam is my intrinsic nature, there is no duality for me. I am pure consciousness and pure existence. Then what can I be afraid of? All the fear in life will go away. There is no fear of death. There is no fear of disease. It goes away, all because of this study. There is nothing except me, all alone. I am that pure entity which is always there. We miss this fact. What is always my nature is never understood as my nature. What is incidentally coming? My body is coming in the waking state. I say this is the body which has been born, and I say this body will not be there. I take that and I suffer throughout my life. This is the problem of Adhyasa. This is a problem of superimposition. My pure nature is not understood. Atma is not understood. Anatma is taken as my nature. Ignorance of Atma pushes me to take Anatma as my nature. This is the problem of Adhyasa. Fear is only when there is a second entity. These are all quotes from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. They are all valid source of knowledge. They tell me my true nature. The benefit of this study is moksha, the freedom from limitations. The adhikari and the sambandha, I told you earlier, is not a problem. In Anubandha Chatushtayam, in the 4 factors of any study, 2 factors, there is no problem. The real problem is the Vishaya and the Prayojana. So in this Bashyam, Shankaracharya shows the possibility to a seeker that moksha is possible. But by Adhyasa Nivritti, by the elimination of the superimposition, one can get freedom from sorrow. That is the purpose of this Bashyam. Once a seeker knows that there is a possibility, then he will put on the effort. He will study further and further till things become clear. Stula is not clear. Sukshma is not clear. Karana is not clear. How I, as Atma, am connected with Stula. How I, as Atma, is connected with Sukshma. How I, the Atma, is connected with the Karana. If I can learn to drop these 3 identifications, my buddhi gets this freedom to own up and claim the intrinsic nature. Knowing my own self, I become Brahman, limitless, because the self happens to be that limitlessness. Body gives me spatial finitude. The mind gives me the temporal limitations. If infinitude is my nature, finitude has to be shown as false. Jnatrutva, kartrutva, bhoktrutva has to be shown as false. What is the capacity of knowledge? Jnanam. Jnanam removes ajnanam, ignorance. What is ajnanam? Falsity of rope snake. Falsity of the world, jagat. Falsity of the sharirams. If I can remove this adhyasa, then the knowledge is beneficial to me. Our notion about our own self needs a correction. Atma Jnanam is the means, and what needs correction is the ignorance about my Atma. The thesis is ignorance of rope, ignorance of the self, ignorance of the Sakshi creates the superimposition of snake. Ignorance of rope creates a superimposition of rope snake. Ignorance of Sakshi, Atma, pure consciousness creates a superimposition of body, mind, intellect as myself. Just analyze from Mandukya Upanishad, this is the basic conclusion of Mandukya. You study your experience, Anubhava. Normally, a seeker has to use three sources. One is the Shruti, Yukti, and Anubhava. Shruti means what the scriptures are telling me. Yukti means my own reasoning of what the Shruti tells me. And Anubhava is analyze my own experience. If all these three together, if I can put together, I will come to a conclusion that I am the limitless self. In the waking state, I am only identified with the gross body. That is my primary identification. Through the gross body, I have everything. The whole interaction takes place. In the dream, my basic identification is with the mind, the subtle body. And in the deep sleep state, the basic identification is with the ignorance, the Karana Sharira. And if I remove these three identifications, who am I? I am the knower of these three states. I exist. I am consciousness. These three factors of knowingness, existence, and consciousness, bliss, this nature is common, is always there for me, for all of us, not only you, everybody. So Satchit Ananda is common. What is not common is the body, the mind, and the Punya Papa, which is the Karana Sharira. So limitations come when I take myself to be the body or mind complex. Like when I see the rope, it is taken as a rope snake. When I take the jiva as a limited body and mind, then I suffer samsara. But the original, if I come to know the rope snake is a rope, the jiva is nothing else but this limitless Brahman or Satchidananda, then what happens is I take this body, mind, intellect as an upadhi. Upadhi means just a medium. The medium has got limitations. If I remove the error of taking them as myself, and what do? I take the Chaitanyam, the consciousness, the content in the world, the content in the body-mind complex, which is always there. Without this, there is no world, there is no body, there is no mind, there is no sorrow. So this is the truth. The content is the truth. The container is changing. In the three states, in the three sharirams, in the five koshas, the container is changing, but the content, the indweller, remains changeless. Without the changeless cause, there is no experience of the external world. Very, very important fact revealed by the Upanishads. We must know how the problem comes to us. The problem of superimposition is because of ignorance. This must be drilled into your mind. Ignorance is the cause, superimposition happens, and I get wrongly identified with my body. If you can understand these three factors, number one, ignorance is the cause. Ignorance of what? Ignorance of Atma. Limitless Atma, which is not limited by time, not limited by space, which means it is immortal. I do not know this nature of mine. I do have this knowledge from the Upanishads. If I have faith in the Upanishads, it tells me that this is my nature. You are experiencing it all the time. Nitya Moksha is your true nature. Incidentally, you feel you are limited. Drop the incidental nature, own up the Nitya Moksha as your Swarupam, and be free for the rest of your life. That is what is called as Jivan Mukta. So to show the possibility of this limitless nature of mine, I have to show that my current limited nature of taking the self as this upadhi, means of transaction, is an error. I must admit this error in my buddhi. I am not this which I am experiencing, which is seen. What is perceived is an appearance. What is the substratum of the appearance is the truth. If I know this, my ignorance about myself is gone. So ignorance has to be indicated before knowledge is shown as a remedy. So all of us must say, yes, 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 I am today, I don't know I am the limitless self. I know I have ignorance of that limitless self. Therefore, I am having a superimposition. It is a natural superimposition, which happens to all of us. There is need to describe ignorance as the cause of error. This is what Shankaracharya does in this Adhyasa Bhashya. Can you see how deep is this analysis? Even though when you go through these verses and just read the meanings, you might find it so simple. But the depth of this knowledge and the depth of understanding these superimposition correctly will help us in removing the error once and for all in our life. Permanently we are free. So Shankaracharya writes an essay of superimposition to show how I have been mistaking my body, mind, intellect as the self without inquiry. This is an error. It's been continuously been done, life after life, birth after birth. According to scriptures, the buddhi leaves the current body, takes another body to enjoy the world. Again, it comes back to enjoy the world. Again, it comes back to enjoy the world. Only through the study of the scriptures, the buddhi understands that it is not the real. It is an incidental appearance. It is Maya. It is an illusion. What is the reality? The reality is I am pure consciousness. I am the seer. I am the sakshi. I am the perceiver. I am not the perceived body. Body is inert. Shankara shows this possibility of me being this limitless Brahman. Then I have faith in Vishaya. I will accept the possibility of moksha as the phalam of the study of Upanishads. So now it becomes clear to me why I should study the Upanishads. Vishaya and Prayojana of Anubandha Chatushrayam are established by this Adhyasa Bhashya. See the fullness in the self by the study of Adhyasa Bhashya. Fullness. Aham Purnaha. Complete. I don't lack anything in life. That is the truth. I accept it after this studying of this Adhyasa Bhashya. This itself will give me the moksha. This study of Adhyasa Bhashya itself will give me a moksha because I have understood the problem. It's gone. Ignorance is gone. To build a house or to organize a marriage, we know that knowledge is required and actions are required. But to remove the darkness, what is required? Light. Only one thing can remove darkness, which is light. The darkness of ignorance can be removed by the light of knowledge from the Upanishads. That is the only solution, because that is the subject matter of the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, the Brahma Sutra. The topic of the Upanishad is the self, which is the knower of the body, mind, and the world. It is not the body, it is not the mind, it is the knower of the body. Brahman is this, when we say self, it is the knower of the individual body. When we say the Brahman, it is the knower of the entire universe. Adhyasa Bashyam establishes Vishaya of Anubandha Chatushtayam. The Vishaya is the self, which is this limitless entity called Brahman. We see the possibility of Jiva, Brahma, Aikyam. That means the oneness between me, the Jiva, and the totality. I can see there is oneness. Why? Because for both the substratum is the same. Because for both the substratum is the same, in the sleep state, they all merge as one Satchidananda Swarup. The Upanishad clearly states, 3 Upanishads, 4 Upanishads, they all state same truth. Every Upanishad tells me the purpose of all the Upanishad is Jiva Brahma Aikyam, oneness between the Jiva, the individual, and the totality. So this discussion establishes my Swarupam as Satchidananda, which is the intrinsic nature. The incidental nature is this body, mind, intellect, the 5 koshas, the 3 avasthas, the 3 sharirams. Therefore, right in Tattvabodha itself, Shankaracharya writes a brilliant definition of Atma. He says, you are not these 3 sharirams, not the 5 koshas, not the 3 avasthas, but you are the substratum on which these 3 are coming and going. It is an appearance which keeps on coming and going. Like you have the dream experience on the waker's mind. Similarly, you have the waker's experiences in the Satchidananda Swarupa. The prayojanam of this study is the ignorance is eliminated, destroyed. When the ignorance, self-ignorance is destroyed, sorrow is eliminated. What is discovered is my intrinsic blissful nature. When I remove the covering, the veiling of the bodies, the veiling of the 3 sharirams, the veiling of the 5 koshas, the veiling of the 3 avasthas, I remove this. And I see myself completely without these. What do I realize then? I am pure consciousness. I am unlimited, not limited by time, because in Satchit Ananda, space, time, objects appear and disappear. Appear and disappear. This is the truth which Shankaracharya wants each one of us to realize in our own buddhi. Why I consider myself to be limited, born and gone? Because I don't know my nature as Satchidananda. And that is because of ignorance, ajnanam. I've taken the body, mind, intellect as the self, and the self as the body, mind, intellect. Both ways, there is superimposition. Self on the non-self, non-self on the self. Taking something else in the world as myself is superimposition. Taking rope as rope snake is superimposition. Taking shell as silver is superimposition. Taking Atma as Anatma is superimposition, is Adhyasa. Taking one thing to be something else is what is called as Adhyasa. Throwing something on something else is Adhyasa. How does this adhyasa happen? What are the ingredients of adhyasa? What are the constituent factors? Three constituent factors Shankaracharya discusses. One is samskara, second is sadrishyam, and third is beda agraha. I'll explain each one of them. Samskara means I have a prior experience. I have seen a rope snake in a park or a TV or in the book. I've seen a snake. I have the experience of snake, either a real snake or a false snake. A real snake maybe in some garden, in some forest, or it can be a false snake, or in the TV I have seen some picture. That is samskara. I have prior knowledge. If there was no idea of the snake, there will be no superimposition. So purva anubhava is required. Purva anubhava means experience of some picture or some personal experience is required. The second factor is sadrishyam, similarity. Whenever there is similarity, it invokes memory. The moment memory comes, delusion starts. Can it be this? Can it be that? Can it be this? So the shell is seen as a silver because of the glitter. Because of the glitter in the silver in the shell, the sun shines on the shell, it gives a glitter. The glitter invokes the memory of silver in my mind, and I start imagining that shell is a silver. The third thing is Veda Agraha, non-comprehension of the difference between substratum and superimposed. Rope is the substratum. What is superimposed is rope snake. Waker is the substratum. What is superimposed is the dream. Waker, Atma is the substratum. Waker is the superimposed. The whole seeing of a shell, we don't see the shell and silver distinctly, separately. Seeing oneness is the error. I don't see the shell as it is. I don't discriminate. Therefore, I see them as one. So we bring the light of knowledge to discriminate correctly and correct the error. The three factors, above factors, are required for superimposition. In Advaita, we say the self is taken to be the body and the body is taken to be the self. These are two superimpositions which take place. There is a mixture between the body and pure consciousness. I feel limitation because I've taken the body's features. The body is born. I say I am born. Who is this I which is saying it? It is a consciousness. Consciousness, can it ever be born? No. The Upanishads say consciousness ajaha, birthless. The body is born, body dies. But the substratum is this consciousness. I take the features of, okay, that is how the body is taken as this self. When we say I am born, I am suffering. The reverse also happens. What is the reverse? The features of the consciousness, which is knowingness, which is existence, is transferred to the inert body. Body by nature is only it's made of 5 elements. That's all. But it doesn't have the knowingness as its intrinsic nature. So what happens is the knowingness of the consciousness is transferred to the body-mind complex. These two together is called as mutual superimposition. In all ways, the body and the self has become one. I say I am born. I say I know this. I don't know this. So every day for all my transactions, itara itara adhyasa, anyonya adhyasa, paraspara adhyasa, or mutual superimposition, superimposition on one on the other, dharma adharma, dharma dharmi adhyasa. We will study that a little later. But all this is in our day-to-day transactions. The notion of other in other, other in the other, that means body in the self, self in the body, that notion is what is called as an error. So I hope you have got some idea of this error which we are having in our life. A Siddhantin. Siddhantin means a person who knows the Upanishad. He says Adhyasa is natural between the substratum, which is the Adhishthanam, Atma. Natural. And whatever is superimposed, the body, mind, intellect, in the three avasthas, they will come and go. It is natural. It will keep on happening. Only thing I can do is remove my ignorance. What is the Purva Pakshi? What is the opponent saying? Opponent is saying Adhyasa is not possible. Now, this is the type of teaching Shankaracharya adopts in Adhyasa Bashyam. He himself gives rise, he imagines there is an opponent, and he imagines there is a Siddhantin. That means a person who knows what the truth is, and he is arguing with an opponent, and in their arguments, the truth gets revealed. That is how this is called as Sambada, dialogue. Shankaracharya uses, this is there's a traditional method of teaching in the Upanishads. He uses the same method in the Adhyasa Bhashya. So the Purva Pakshi says, how can a superimposition be possible? He will give the reasons. The cause of superimposition is not valid. Only if there is a similarity between two things, we can say it is possible to get confused. A rope and a rope snake are very similar. Shell and silver are similar. The glitter can be confused. The glitter causes greed. I take the shell as silver, I run after it, or that is what is called as pravritti example, running after the something. Because in the world, due to delusion, superimposition, we are either running towards the objects or running away from the objects. Running towards the objects, the example taken is shell silver. Running away from objects, both these are superimpositions. Running away from objects, we take the example of rope snake. So because of fear, I run away from just seeing the rope. So Purva Pakshi says the problem of ignorance which you are talking about is not valid. There is no similarity between self and non-self. There is no criteria, there is no ingredient for Adhyasa. It is absent. Mere knowledge of Atma is no use if the problem is not ignorance. If the problem is ignorance, yes, I understand. Knowledge is the solution. But I'm telling you there is no Adhyasa. I don't see possibility of Adhyasa. This is how Shankaracharya develops the entire teaching of the 16 sections of Adhyasa Bhashyam. This entire introduction I have given is to give you overall problem of Adhyasa. What is this problem? Where ignorance is the cause, and how a Purva Pakshi opponent can argue in a different way. How Shankaracharya will defend his statements. That is what we are going to see in the Adhyasa Bhashyam. So this was the introduction for the Adhyasa Bhashyam. Now, Adhyasa Bhashyam consists of 16 sections. 1-6. What I will be doing is I will be going through these 16 sessions during this study. Each week, we will progress with maybe 1 or 2 of these sections. The first 2 sections are very, very important. 3 sections, 1, 2, 3, are very important. Don't miss it, because then you have got the whole gist of the 16 sections. 1, 2, 3, very important the topics. And for those of you who are curious to know what are these 16 sections, in the note which I have circulated today, I have given this. Today I have got now the notes for the first section, which I have also circulated, which I'll be taking now. But I have also circulated to you the notes of the entire Adhyasa mantras which are there, the 16 mantras in these sections. I've given all the 16 mantras. Section 2, what is the main content? Section 3, the content. All the 16 mantras are given so that you can get an idea of what this whole text of Adhyasa Bhashyam is. But by now, you already know. The 16 sections, they all deal with ignorance as the problem, and Adhyasa is an effect. By removing this superimposition, I can become free from identifications in life. That's all. You see, if you go through these mantras on yourself, you may find it difficult. But when you have the explanations slowly given, you will get clarity on the meanings. And so that is this is what will be our course of Adhyasa Bhashyam. If you have any questions on what I have said today, you can ask at the end of the session. I will introduce this topic, the first topic. As usual, Vijaya has very, very well given the chanting for today's session. I gave it to her exactly 15 minutes before the session, before the class started. She just recorded it and then sent to me within 5 minutes. Anyway, it was good, and we will see how this chanting happens. For those of you who want to learn how to chant, this will be useful.
1. Yushma. 1. Yushmad Asmad. 2. Pratyaya Gocharayoho Vishaya Vishayinoho. 3. Tamaha Prakashavad Viruddha Svabhavayoho. 4. Itara Bhavanupapattoho Siddhayam. 5. Tad Dharmanam Api Sutaram Itara Bhavanupapattihi. 6. इतिः अतः अस्मत् प्रत्ययगोचरे विषयिणि चिदात्मके. 7. युष्मत् प्रत्ययगोचरस्य विषयस्य तद् धर्माणां च अध्यासः. 8. तद् विपर्ययेण विषयिणः तद् धर्माणां च विषये अध्यासो. 9. मिथ्या इति भवन्तु युक्तम्.
So that is the recording of the first section, which is a section of the opponent. What is the meaning of this whole section? We will see now. So it is a Purva Pakshi statement. Yushmat asmat pratyaya gocharayoho vishaya vishayano tama prakashava viruddha swabhavayoho. What does this mean? He is asking Shankaracharya, how can there be Adhyasa? Atma can never be mistaken as Anatma. Why? Because of two terms which he is using, Yushmat and Asma. Yushmat refers to the object. This body, when we say, it means Yushmat. In Sanskrit, it refers to the object. This mind is different than the self. The second person, whenever the second person, you, she, it, they're all there. If we know very easily, it is always different than the first person, the subject. Body mind is is an object without life. I am the one who is the knower of the body. What is the common language we use? I am, aham, asmi. In English is this I am. I am this body. Body is me. There is dissimilarity, virodha, between the body and the knower. There are 5 dissimilarities. I will explain to you one by one. This is the opponent, opponent talking to the Siddhanta. Yushmat stands for Vastutaha. Vastu means Yushmat stands for the body. We will see the 5 features of the body first, then we'll go to the other side of Asmat. So, the whole transactions in life happen because of Yushmat and Asmat. Yushmat is you or the object in front of me. Asmat is I, the subject. Yushmat is always this. Pratiyate vishayataya. It is always a seen thing. It is external, parak, external to the seer, parak. We need mind, senses, medium to perceive the object. To perceive this body also, we need the mind. We need the sense organs. We need the medium. So this Yushmad, this body is a perceived entity. Grahya. Pratyaya, there are 2 meanings of pratyaya. One is thought. Pratyaya is also used when we want to say experience. In this particular case, pratyaya is used as experience of the body. So Vishaya is the object experience. And how is this object? It is Tama Swabhava. Tama means it is inert. Inherently, the body is inert. It is Jadam. And the rule is yadrishyam tajjadam. I see the inert body as not conscious. This is what is the body, the 5 features of the body. Let us look at the other side. What is asmat? Asmat means I, the consciousness. So our transactions, opponent is trying to explain what is the transaction which we all experience. I am the subject. The subject is swaprakashaha. Subject is consciousness. The knowingness, the knower. Is it external? No, it is internal. It is not parak, but it is pratyak. It is the seer. And this seer, is it getting illuminated from any other external source? Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam. It is self-luminous, self-evident. I illumine myself. That is the consciousness. It is self-illumined all the time. It is experienced all the time. Even when the mind is sleeping, consciousness is there as sakshi of the sleeping mind. It is always the grahaka. It is not grahyam. It is the perceiver. This I is the perceiver is the object of this I thought, I experience. So the consciousness, what is this consciousness? It is the object of aham. Whenever I say aham, consciousness is the object of that aham. It is vishayin, it is not vishaya. Vishaya is the object, vishayin is this subject, self-experience. And what is the nature of the self? Prakasha sarupaha, prakasha swabhavaha. Inherently, it is chit sarupa, sentient consciousness principle. So then he is asking, body and consciousness are poles apart. Difference is complete. There is no possibility of superimposition or possibility of mistaking one for the other. How are you saying there is a superimposition? Because of ignorance. Because they are diametrically opposite. Similarity is required for all superimpositions. Look at shell and silver. Shell is similar to silver. Rope is similar to the snake I see. Sand and mirage, these are all similar examples. Ingredient for superimposition is similarity. It is not ignorance. Between self-consciousness and non-self, which is the body, there is no similarity at all. There are 5 dissimilarities. No one can mistake darkness for light. Consciousness is light, darkness is this body, inert. You're only postulating, I superimpose body on consciousness and consciousness in the body. You're only postulating this. There is no case for this ignorance. There is no case for this superimposition. That is the first objection. Then the second objection is itara bhava anupapattau siddhaya. It is very well established fact that there is no similarity, no possibility of me ever losing knowledge of this distinction. If similarity, I will lose knowledge of distinction. Because of similarity, if you say I will lose knowledge of distinction, then it is possible. But I won't, because they are diametrically opposite. So anupapatti means impossibility is established. There are 2 terms which we are going to use. One is called dharmi adhyasa and the second is dharma adhyasa. What is dharmi adhyasa? Mistaking one object for another. And what is dharma adhyasa? mistaking the property of the object with the property of another object. Dharmi means object, mistaking the whole object itself. Dharma Adhyasa means mistaking the property. When I give the example, it will become very clear. If Dharmi Adhyasa is not possible, the corollary is it's not possible to mix up their properties also. See, if the object itself, there is no superimposition possible, then how can you say that the properties will be superimposed? So what he is saying is, tad dharmana api sutaram itara bhava anupapattihi. All the more, it is not possible to take one object to be the other. Why? Because object and subject are different. There cannot be any mutual transferation of the properties. If the rope is taken as snake, it's a different object. That is Dharmi Adhyasa. After I do this Dharmi Adhyasa, what is the second Adhyasa which is automatically done? I superimpose the property of the snake, which is poison, on the rope. Similarly, in a silver, on shell, I impose the value, expensive nature of the silver. Oh, this is very expensive. I can use this silver. Therefore, I run towards it. That is Dharma Adhyasa. So when Dharmi Adhyasa happens, Dharma Adhyasa is natural. Dharmi Adhyasa facilitates Dharma Adhyasa. Iti ataha. Therefore, there is no question of similarity prompted mutual superimposition to happen. The glitter causes shell to be the silver. Asmat pratyaya gochare chidatmake. Asmat means subject, pratyaya means experience, and gochare means content. What is the content of I experience? Vishayini. Vishayini means the perceiver of the object. What is the nature of the perceiver? Nature of consciousness? Yushma pratyaya gocharasya vishayasya. In the rope, I see the snake. In the shell, I see silver. In consciousness, I see the body and mind. This is what we should understand from all this which we have seen so far. Rope snake is an example, shell silver is an example. But really we have to see how in consciousness this body and mind is superimposed. When I see an emotion, I say I am angry. That I am angry is a thought in the mind. I am sad is a thought in the mind. That thought in the mind I superimpose and say I, the consciousness, am sad. This is the problem. Body has got a disease. Body is an external object. It will come and go. I say I am born, I am dying. This I on the body is superimposition. Can you see what a mistake we are committing throughout our life? How body-mind cognition takes place in consciousness. That is what we should internalize. Like in the rope, snake is superimposed. In the consciousness, perceiver, the content of I experience, what do we superimpose? The objects of inertness is superimposed, the body. Even though the body is diametrically opposite to consciousness. How can you conceive subject to be the object, perceiver to be the perceived, if they are diametrically opposite in nature is the opponent's question. How can you consider sentient to be inert? Asma pratyaya gochare vishayi chidatmake yushmat pratyaya gocharasya vishayaha dharmi adhyasa. Tad dharmanam cha adhyasaha. Vishaya is the body, mind complex, and their properties. How can there be the superimposition of the properties on consciousness, which is bright in nature, prakasha swarupaha, in the I consciousness? How can there be superimposition of the senses and the properties as adhyasa is the question of the opponent. How can in consciousness you can see the body and its properties, and how you can see the properties of the body in consciousness? So both ways we should, it's not possible. See, the self is a sentient entity, perceiver. I see, I know. That is subject. That is the self. Body is inert. Body cannot perceive anything. It is just an object of perception. It is an object of the consciousness. So how can there be a superimposition is the question. If you can superimpose, how can you see body, mind properties in the self? You can't even superimpose the object itself. How can you say that the property of the body is being superimposed on the consciousness? What is seeing the properties of the body? For example, when we say I am fat, thin, man, woman, these are the properties of the body. We are transferring it to the self. Okay, I will stop here because we need to continue this next week. Today I've just given you an introduction, and we have started with the section 1. It gives you a brief idea of the superimposition. What we have seen today is why this superimposition, what is the nature of the superimposition, and fundamentally, superimposition is the property of the body, the birth of the body, the death of the body is taken on consciousness, which is the self. That is one superimposition. The superimposition of consciousness, which is existence, the Sat principle, existence principle, the nature of bliss, that is superimposed on the body. So both ways, the superimposition is happening. Object, material object is being superimposed on consciousness. Consciousness is being superimposed on the body. That is how we give these 3 statements, which we will see next week. So this is how, through reasoning, Shankaracharya builds up the whole case of superimposition. So with this slide of 28, I will stop. We'll start next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. I don't have anything on the chat box. Shama, I know you are waiting to say something. Yeah, Shama, please, 1 second. He's trying to unmute. Okay, if anybody has any questions or any remarks?
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Shekharji, this is most incredible, most incredible. You know, it's just, it's the most delightful thing I've ever heard in terms of, you know, what the intellectual delight even in this exercise, is superb. Is absolutely superb, you know, because the mind is always doing comparisons, you see. So you're comparing. And what was fascinating was, while in the initial part, when you were expounding this, I was, so few things I just want to say. One of them is this: I'm so happy. In fact, today morning I was thinking, I wish you would talk about Anubandha Chatushtaya, because it's so important to define as to why are you studying a particular Vishaya? Why are we doing that Adhyasa, you know? So I'm so glad that it is, you've actually incorporated this into today's talk. So that's just to express my joy and happiness that you, because quite often, so this is the Anubandha Chatushtaya, please correct me. This is relates to specifically the study of our scriptures, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah. However, what is so interesting is I've actually used it in my kind of daily life. You know, if I want to study something, if I want to do something, I actually ask, what is there a prayojana? You know, why do I want to do it? And what is it that I want to do? So not only for thinking, but I use it for just anything and everything, because it's a very good, like a management tool, that before you embark onto something, ask, what is it that you want to do? Why do you want to do it? Am I the right person to do it? Or maybe somebody else is probably more qualified or more adhikari. And then the sambandham, because this is not, I'm saying it for Vyavaharika life, you know, that sambandham, how will it impact my life? How will it impact the life of the other people who are related, you know, sambandham. Yes. So that's just a little distraction, which I was saying. So, and I was, while you were teaching, I didn't know that you were going to talk about the Purva Pakshi, or the objection part of it. I didn't know. But while I was listening to you, I was doing it myself within my own head. And I was thinking of, you know, because there is this competing interest. Today, by the end of your talk, that competition has gone. I have been competing within myself as to how can I make it, because I must know first, then only the ichchati, you know. Only when you know first, then the second part will be the ichchati, and then it will be the intention to do something, isn't it?
Yes.
So I've been asking myself about the scriptural studies. So much as I know I'm interested, what has always been a competing interest, and I've said that before, you know, knowing history of civilization, knowing science, knowing philosophy, knowing arts, you know, so those are the other competing interests of knowledge. One is scriptural knowledge and the other is the now I've concluded at the end of it, that is non-knowledge. Scriptural knowledge is the only knowledge. So what I was hoping, that I really want only one knowledge that I must have. And today you have succeeded in converting me totally. I only want only one knowledge, and that is the knowledge, the scriptural knowledge. So that's just really the impact on your talk, which you have done, you know. So let me just think. Yeah, so you have said about I, first is this I exist, yeah?
Yes.
Sat, sat.
Sat. Yes.
And then the chit, I know.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, and there is the ananda bit of it. I just want to have, apart from the thoughts or the knowledge, desire for knowledge, which includes all the non-knowledge, what I also want to ask is, how can I get this idea? Sorry, I'm really distracting other people from my own questions, so I feel very sad about it, but allow me to ask. And this is this tug of war between doing and knowing, you know? I don't know whether I can express it. The tug of war between doing and knowing. So according to the knowledge which I've hitherto gained, it is a very conscious principle for me that my proper dharma, and there is this competition about, one is when I am doing this idea of the scriptural knowledge or the Atma Gnanam or the Brahma Gnanam, that is so selfishly centered to myself, you know, why do I want to do it? Because that's for myself. That competes with the desire to serve, to know, to do seva, to do good for other people, you know, because that is the moral value which it holds. While this jnanam, it feels so. I'm just wondering whether you have any thoughts on how to, you know, completely get rid of it so that I'm free to just enjoy myself and, you know, dip myself into this great ocean of, you know, just pure scriptural study. And that's what I want to live the rest of my life, you know, to know it and to share it with others, perhaps.
Okay, good question. Very, very good question. Very practical question. See, we must understand that we have two aspects. One is the body, another is consciousness. Now, the dharma of the body is to serve people. You see, that is the automatic dharma. It is natural. The mind will automatically go towards seva. I want to help others. I want to do good things in life. I want to be happy doing things in life for others.
It's not vasana.
It is vasana. It is vasana. It is natural vasana. It is a natural dharma. You will understand this a little bit more once we finish the 16 sections of Adhyasa.
It's not relating to ego serving.
No. It is not the ego serving. It is to do with your samskaras, which your old vasanas, which is just which is getting fulfilled in this birth. So, however, you may struggle in life and move towards your selfish goal, as you are saying it, you will still be forced to do seva in life. Like how, exactly like Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, he was forced to fight the war in spite of he wanted to run away from the battlefield. Your question, your situation you are asking is exactly like how Arjuna was in the battlefield. He was asking Krishna, why do you want me to force me to? But what did Lord Krishna teach him? He taught him that it is your dharma. You cannot but do your dharma. You have to live your dharma. So don't get into a conflict between knowledge and action. Knowledge is about your own nature. You think that it is selfish, but it is not selfish. It is the thought in your mind which says it is a wrong notion. Remove that wrong notion, that it is a selfish nature. Knowing yourself is not a selfish nature, it is knowing your true nature.
So,
this is one of the goals of life.
Correct.
4 purusharthas are there: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. You see, if moksha was selfish goal, it would not be promoted as a goal for life. See, all the scriptures are saying moksha is also one of the goals. It is, if it has got a wrong or a bad connotation of being selfish, the scriptures will not say know yourself. Upanishads, every Upanishad is saying know your nature, know your nature, know your nature. If it was for selfish reason, if there was a negative connotation to self-adhyatmika study, they will not mention it, they will not promote it. So first of all, you should say the Upanishads are telling me, they are teaching me to know myself. Therefore, there is no selfishness in that. I am following the scriptures. How? Exactly like a ritualist he will follow the karma kanda portion, and he will do rituals and rituals after rituals and rituals after rituals throughout his life, because he is saying it is given by the Veda. Now, similarly, you are saying, now Veda tells me I must know my nature. I am going towards that. I have seen what the life can offer. Of course, seva is a part of my life, but it is not my whole life. I cannot substitute and say that I will not do seva and go for knowledge, and it is not a question of either or.
The force is so bad, the compulsion is so bad. For instance, I'm actually so wonderfully retired, completely satisfied, there is nothing that is, oh, I wish I would have done this, that. No, it's really contentment there. But almost on a regular basis, my mind cannot stop going where, oh, maybe I should actually do a bit of, we have here in UK, we have this Good Samaritan,
Yes.
There must be so many people who must be serving. And with my kind of job, which I did as a family practice, it should be so simple and easy. And I will only devote, I was telling myself only this bit of time, but it is actually taking away the time, because you said about how mind is a temporal limitation, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
The body is spatial, which is not a problem. Here, I very nicely told myself, within my limit, and actually there is a limitation of time. For instance, when I seriously study Vedanta or whatever, it actually is very time demanding. I feel as if I can breeze through, but when you actually do it, it is not. You are very good with, I don't know how you manage time. Someday you should probably do us a talk on time management, because it is, if you really want to do it properly, it takes time. So despite that, knowing that, my samskaras are actually pushing me, and I keep thinking this is madness. I cannot think of it anything less than madness. And you're saying it's okay.
Yes, it is okay, because it's easy. Let us look at what other people have given answers to your question here.
Oh my God.
You see, a lot of people have answered your problem.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, but can you just explain what you are saying?
I think Shamaji was saying, Hari Om, Shekharji, first of all.
Yeah.
So Shamaji was saying that for the service of others, leaving out that, instead of that, I am spending more time on trying to learn about me, which is kind of a selfishness, right?
Yeah.
But unless and until you serve yourself first, there is no point to serve others. It is like saying, I want to lift 100 kilos, but I will not eat. No, doesn't work. Eat first fully, let your stomach be full, have the full strength, and go and do the fighting, whatever may be, whether it is fighting or otherwise teaching or serving others, whatever we want to do, according to our individual nature, we should do it. I'm simply arguing in that way, saying that selfishness or otherwise learning about the self or is no way is a selfishness.
Good, very good example, Bud. Vijaya, do you have something else you have written here? Are you here?
3.8.
Yes. Actually, this is the typical question which Arjuna puts in the beginning of chapter 3.
Yeah.
So, right. I mean, he says, if I know that I am Atman and I am actionless and I am limitless, why should I have to even act and kill those people? Then he answers actually in 3.8 and 3.9 of it. It says, he says you have to perform your duties, for action is superior to inaction. You not acting does not substitute to be, to be the solution. And through the inaction, even the maintenance of your body thus becomes impossible. So one need to act. But he also defines in Karma Yoga, the way you have to act defines, he says, Yajna Bhava. That is what he gives an example. So that's what I think Shama is rightly saying. I want to perform for selflessly for others. And that's the only way to act. That's what Lord, I think, has told. Without being attached, you perform your actions to him. That is what is a true knowledge, to do what I understand. Over to you. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much, Vidya. And I have to congratulate you on how beautifully you actually have done the chanting or the explanation part of it. But I wish you would also do it in that little, in a script, like how the split, sometimes in Bhagavad Gita, you get, certain verses which are actually written in a way where you can easily read it. The way she was actually saying it. And also I wanted to request whether Vijaya, is it possible all the 16 to be separately chanted in one, and you could
send us she's going to do it. I'm going to explain to her. This is the first time.
This is very nice. Very, very nice.
You see, I just gave her 5 minutes. I called her exactly 10 minutes before the class. I said, I want a chanting of the first verse. Can you help me? She said, send it within 2 minutes. So I didn't have a chance to talk to her. So I will request her to chant like how Swamiji chants in the beginning of the class. I had put Swamiji's chanting. So if you attend the classes in the future, if you come 10 minutes before the class, you will find Swami Advayananda chanting.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes, and she will chant now. She will send the recording of each verse, each section by section, the full chanting instead of splitting up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So she will chant.
Sorry, just the last bit. I just wanted to make a clarification, which is something which I hope everybody will agree with me, and that is, counter to Vijaya's suggestion and about what you said about the samskaras itself, what I am trying to tell myself, because I'm at my vanaprastha state. So all of whatever temporal, it is very, very important that at least now, I've finished almost everything. So I am now in my vanaprastha state, which the most natural purushartha for me to do is to really devote myself to lots and lots of scriptural study and, satsanga, and this, this is really natural. I mean, it's already happening, but I'm just trying to say I have to take away all those adhyasas, which is, I must help and I must do, because that's the values which I have so far learned and studied. And it's not necessary is what I'm trying to tell myself, it's,
see, don't forget you have been a medical doctor for 40, 50 years, So you have served the people. So you have done your job, So it's just a
I should be contented.
You see, it's just a vasana of your serving, which is still continuing, and then it doesn't allow you to do anything else except that.
I love this spiritual counseling, which everyone is doing for me. Thank you so much. And I feel very, very guilty about just taking away so much of your time, but thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Uma, do you have this, you have mentioned about, can you explain what you want to say? I can't hear you properly.
You can't hear me well?
Yeah, now it's okay,
Okay, yes, the question is, just because of the karma we are born. So my samsara is not just due to that. The ignorance is the cause of the samsara.
Yes.
That is correct?
You're absolutely right.
Okay, because I was always thinking that, okay, if I have this partha to be born, I would definitely go through suffering. But that's not so.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Let me explain to you, Uma. See, you must understand the law of karma clearly. The first thing you should understand is that the starting point is ignorance. Okay? Prarabdha karma is a result of ignorance. So the why you did karma in the first place is because you didn't know your nature as the self. So the ultimate thing is initially, for a junior student, we say that prarabdha karma is the cause of prarabdha karma is the cause of your suffering. That is for a junior student. The moment now you have done the Bhagavad Gita, now you're moving to the Upanishads, you should know that real problem is ignorance. It is nothing to do with prarabdha karma, because ignorance, if I can remove in this birth, I can get rid of all the karmas in my account and come out of it, and I can be free now. So ignorance is the problem, and let us attack that ignorance. If we can attack the ignorance and remove that ignorance, then you will find that this karma theory itself as a block will go away. It's clear, right?
Yes, yes, I got it.
Okay, good. Okay,
so
good.
much.
All right. So, yeah, Deepak.
I just wanted to thank you, Shekharji. I just had one particular point, and I think this we have been discussing the snake rope analogy, for the last almost 2 years. We've been talking about this.
Yes, yes.
Little examples, and the snake rope analogy has so many aspects to it. It has it talks about levels: the Vyavaharika, the Paramarthika, the absolute reality, the transactional reality. It also talks about the ignorance because of which that I see the snake as real when it's not there, unreal. When it is unreal, we also see that that all these things happen simultaneously. The moment the ignorance goes away, bases the understanding that this is when I see the snake in the light, then the reflection of the pratibhashika also. This
yes, everything goes.
All of this happens simultaneously.
Yes.
So the superimposition is actually not superimposition; it's actually false adhyasa that has taken place, and it is that I removed. So the question I have is that you were also saying that the object also has a superimposition. So the mind and body is superimposed on the substratum of Atma, and the moment I have knowledge, this whole thing goes away. The mind body equipment sort of. What do you mean? What do you mean by going away? Because I'm still there. It means that I now am aware that I am the self-effulgent light, and this is an illusion.
Yes.
But this illusion is still there. I mean, it is there. I mean, I'm there. I'm still there. I don't vanish away. That's one question.
Yes. Okay. Deepak, the answer to that is
yes.
You see, many a times we are not aware of the body. Especially sometimes when we are focused on something through our mind, we are not aware of the body at all. Our body awareness goes away, and we are totally involved with our mind and thoughts and so on. And we all have the experience of dropping the body identification and the mind identification in the sleep state. All of us, we have the experience that I can remain without identifying with the mind, without identifying with the body, I can remain. So what happens when this superimposition goes is, your idea of remaining as a separate entity takes goes on a higher pedestal. Even during the waking state, you are able to live like how you are in the sleep state without identifying with the body and mind. That is what is called as moksha.
That's called the moksha. Okay.
So nothing. If your prarabdha karma of the body will still happen, your seva, your things will still happen. Only thing is that you will not be aware totally of this nature. You will be aware of your real nature all the time.
So the point is that the knowledge will help me to remove this ignorance, but my actions based on the gunas will continue.
Yes.
My will continue. The hunger which is there will automatically happen, and those actions based on the gunas will happen. But my actions will now be purified to the point of my highest ethical manner of service to humanity and all those aspects.
Absolutely, that is the change.
So the superimposition of the object on the subject, I wasn't very clear also.
Okay, object. See this. You know. Let's go through these sections more and more. In you know, the second section, third sections. There are 16 sections in this.
Okay.
We will be talking of this superimposition from body to Atma and Atma to body again and again in all these sections.
Okay, right, fine.
Okay, so this will become more and more clear in the following sections.
Okay, right, Shekhar. Thank you.
Okay.
So, sorry, just really, I've actually written it down, but I just wanted to be clear. What you have said today is one of the most fundamental steps in the Adhyasa Bhashya is, first step is remove ignorance, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remove ignorance that I am not the body, but I am the consciousness. Fundamental ignorance, you know?
Yeah, so that's the fundamental ignorance. Why the question which I have written is that there is a certain attachment to our adhyasa, which we have already got, of my false self or also the non-self. Is nididhyasana or our Mahavakya Vichara or Vedantic meditation, is this the only method of removing this ignorance, which I'm calling it as attachment? That is, counteract the darkness of ignorance with the light of knowledge of scriptures. So, and basically in that, the first thing which I have to have is the faith. You have mentioned that faith is what is in Vijnanamaya Kosha.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So therefore, if I actually have at least this much of Shraddha, that my hope now is how much more and more I claim from what the scriptures is telling me. I don't know it yet, but I am just having the Shraddha that this is what is the truth. So I just literally meditate on it, and that's it, full stop.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
You're right. You're on the right path. Your understanding is correct. Like I told you in this session, that this Adhyasa Bashyam, once you have understood the basic level, you should go to the higher level of understanding of how I can remove the Adhyasa at the Karana Sharira level, Sukshma Sharira level, Sthula Sharira level. That is a slightly different exercise. I will probably take up that subject on the last day of these Adhyasa sessions.
Lovely question from Akshay.
Yeah. So it's clear, Shama?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, Akshay? Yeah.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sekharji, as you were saying, how to get rid of the ignorance?
Yes.
How do we do? Is it have faith or grace, or the three gunas is still controlling us?
Good question. See, initially you start with faith. You know, faith is something, the faith in what? Faith in the scripture. Whatever I'm studying today, it will help me to remove this ignorance. There is an ignorance which I don't know what is this ignorance. And whatever I'm studying will definitely help me. So that is the faith in the scriptures. Grace is automatic. It will come. For all of us, the grace is there because Lord has given us a buddhi. Buddhi to understand what is real and what is unreal. So what really removes the ignorance is the scriptural study. It is the study only which will remove the gunas. Of course, are there. The three gunas are there, but then we have to rise above the three gunas and say that the gunas are not me. You see, the gunas are something which tie this mind and to this body, and it will perform actions. It is because of the gunas of the which are there in the mind. The waking takes place, the dream takes place, the sleep state takes place. Now, this cycle will keep on happening, but what will happen is in this cycle, I will still be able to come out of the cycle because of the knowledge. It is the knowledge of this adhyasa, this superimposition, which will enable me to come out of this cycle. It's very, very important. You see, I'm glad I have taken up this Adhyasa Bashyam for the group because it is so deep in its thought process and it is realization by itself. You know, it is something, if you understand this Bashyam in the true depth of it, there is, it's a guarantee you will know what is Atma. There is no way you can say, I am still under the superimposition. My superimposition is gone because I know myself. So, Bhaubai, so that is the answer, simple answer to your question.
Yeah, Sekhaji, but the thing is, Sekhaji,
yeah,
you know, as you were saying that in this lifetime, it is impossible to, I mean, to get out of the whatever gunas we have or whatever we have.
yes.
You know, it's impossible, isn't it? In this once lifetime, I don't know how many lifetimes
it is
we have gone through also.
Yeah, you see, it is what your mind is saying today. You have to change your mind and say it is possible, and it is realizable. Be positive.
Oh.
Be positive. You be positive and say it is possible. And you will see things happening and say, oh my God, whatever I thought was impossible is possible.
That is mean to see.
Keep a positive attitude. That's all I can say. Okay,
Mr.
thank you. Yeah.
Mr.
Jacqueline,
Jacob?
you wanted to say something?
Yes. I have 2 points. One is superimposition and the other one is action is equal to do, but it's not equal to being. And action and doing is not that we are, it's the mind that is, in fact, it's not that us human being is doing, it's the pure consciousness that illuminates us that we do this, we do that, and we are here. Just like I'm attending your class since whenever, it was just that illuminate me to be here to listen to you and continuing listening. It is not me that is doing or action on it. But as a human, we use the term doing and action, but actually it's being, right?
Yes. What the knowledge which we have to learn is that I am a pure being, I am not a doer.
Yeah.
So the moment you get that knowledge and it ingrills in you, and then it stays as the main takeaway from all this study, then you are in the right path.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no, I mean, even I am doing, but in fact, I'm not doing. It's the pure consciousness that illuminates me to do such a thing that I have to do at this moment, talk to you or listen or look at some other thing. Yeah, exactly. Right?
Yes, you're right. It is, I am not the doer, but I am the illuminator of the body which is doing.
Yes. Okay. The second question. So everything is being. So being is also being is not illuminated, but it's actually that's supposed to be, right?
Yes.
Okay. Second, superimposition, which you are teaching us right now. I know that you are saying that you know, it's a deep. Of course, it's a deep. But to me, I'm just asking, even if it is a superimposition that is happening to me now, in fact, it is not me that want it to happen. It has been carried out, whether it's faith or faith is also a kind of action that in a human mind is thinking of it. But in fact, it is just, it is inevitable that I'm here. It has to happen no matter how I stop it or I don't stop it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the superimposition itself is also whether it is also illuminates by the pure consciousness. Also, it is not that I want that to be an object, but in fact, it's supposed to be a subject.
Correct. It is also, superimposition is also illumined by the same consciousness. You're right.
Okay, appreciate.
Thank you.
Yep.
Akshay is asking, how do you know that I have attained the ultimate knowledge or remove the ignorance? How we can come to certainty of realization? Good question. Akshay, the thing is, you will know for sure. The moment your ignorance goes away, you would have risen up to your true nature. For example, how do you know that your dream is gone? Your dream is gone the moment you realize, I have woken up. So the moment you wake up to the higher knowledge, what happens is, automatically you know it first. And that is why we call it realization. See, the knowledge is what? That I am, this is the ultimate knowledge. I alone am in this universe. And this is the final knowledge. I alone am in this universe as the substratum of the entire universe. This you will be able to say only as Atma. For example, you are the substratum for the entire dream world. Without you, the waker, there is no dreamer. There is no dream world. Similarly, you will say, without me, the Atma, because you have identified with yourself in the state where there is no body and mind. That being your nature, see, the moment you identify, that is what is called as waking up. Waking up is not going into a different state of consciousness, but waking up is understanding. It is only understanding. It is only in the waking state you can be a super waker. You cannot go to sleep state and say, now I'm going to, I have learned in the Bhagavad Gita, I've learned Adhyasa, Bashyam, so in the sleep state, one day I will wake up and I'll realize myself. No. The waking up to a super waker status is understanding that you have always been a super waker. Nitya Muktaha, Nitya Mokshaha, that is the truth. The problem is we still identify with this body and waking as the truth. We have to drop this as a lower nature and say, my truth is, even right now, when the sessions are going on, I am still Atma. In Atma, there is no transactions which is happening. It is changeless nature. It is continuously there. It is pure existence, pure consciousness, in which there is no bodies. It is only illuminating factor, continuously. It is. So this is what is called as waking up. It's an understanding. It is cognitively removing the wrong notions in your mind. We all have a notion, I am the body, drop it. I am the mind, drop it. Stand absolutely without the medium of body and mind. That is all Upanishad is telling you. Remove this wrong superimposition. I am the body, I am the mind. And see who you are. You will automatically realize I am the Atma. That's all. Anyway, this needs a little bit of thinking. So think about what I have said. And when I do not differentiate me and others as different, okay, that's what they are saying. Okay, there's a long answer for that. Jacqueline, oh my God, there's a lot of messages today. Okay. Yes. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you very much. So Shama, you are happy with the process of complete change of direction now to Adhyasa?
Yeah, very, 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 very happy. And I had just added, and I wanted to add to Jacqueline's as well. The first one, you know, I was saying, how do you remove ignorance? And yes. I was taking on board, you know, the more we claim, your words is, let me claim my Atman, Brahman in nature, you know, so the more we claim that, which is in the Nididhyasana, whether we do the, but in addition, something which came to my mind, and I've written it, that it is helpful for the spiritual seeker to create a spiritual atmosphere. So mantra chanting, which I have really started enjoying, which is almost like really just let it be. Even if you're not chanting, hear mantra chanting, you know, the most amazing one. There's so many of them, which are so helpful. So it keeps the mind in that wonderful state, spiritual mood or spiritual atmosphere. Satsanga, which we are doing now, and cautiously avoiding the negative elements. And I'm remembering, I think it's Ramanujacharya's, you know, in Sharanagati, there is one of the verses which it says, Anukulasya Sankalpa. So let me do things which are helpful for my spiritual journey. Anukulasya Sankalpa, I resolve to do that. Pratikulasya Varjate. That means anything which is negative to that spiritual journey, let me avoid, varjate. Rakshasi iti vishwasa, which is the third element, which is God alone is actually controlling this whole thing, and he's somewhere protecting me. I have to have that faith, and therefore I take it. So that's the other bit. But the last one was just as a response to Jacqueline. She was talking about in the being, doing and being state, you know, the doing element and the being element. And which to my mind is that when you keep referring Sakshi or the witness state, isn't that a being state? You know, if you're spiritually aware of your, you know, Sakshi nature, you're aware of it, are you not in your being state? Can we understand it like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Then,
just be. That's all. Don't even start a
debate.
Thought. That's
thought
right.
Debate. Yeah. Is it this? Is it that? Yeah. Just be in that being state. Like at the moment, I think I can claim that I'm in my being state.
Good.
So yeah. So spiritual awareness, and then this is just if I don't know whether people can watch. It's an equilateral triangle. It was read. I have studied it somewhere else in the normal kind of sciences. You know, where a human being is perpetually in this triangle of three things, which is a doing state, a being state, and a having state. So if we absorb our thoughts, we are aware of our thoughts, we're constantly thinking about what shall I do? And the other one is what shall I get? Having state. And the other one is just you're simply in the being state. And therefore, this is coming from this current science of human happiness, science of human happiness. There's a big push, and people are being encouraged to be in contact with the nature and do a lot of creative arts and all that, so that it actually allows you to get more into your being state rather than all the time, what must I get? What must I have? So that's just as a little addition to what we have already discussing. Sorry, I talked too much. I should keep shut. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much to everybody, and let's meet next week and continue the Adhyasa Bashyam. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Shekhar. Thank you, everyone.
Hari Om, Shekharji. Thank you.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Shekharji.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.